Hello my hungry friends! Today we're making BIGOS, a Polish hunter's stew made with sauerkraut, mushrooms, and a bunch of different meats. Welcome back friends, this is Polish Kitchen and my name is Anna, and here I teach you how to make delicious Polish food. And today we're making a Polish cabbage dish again, surprise. We're making BIGOS. And BIGOS is a dish that can be smelled all over Poland all the time. It's a mixture of delicious sauerkraut and sometimes cabbage and meats and smoked sausages or smoked bacon, mushrooms, and all kinds of delicious stuff. So let's get to our recipe. Again, recipe always at Polish Kitchen, and I'm posting a link below this video. So let's get started. We're gonna start by, so as I said, this can be made with sauerkraut like this, or it can be made with a mixture of sauerkraut and fresh cabbage. I'm a big fan of just using sauerkraut because I like the tanginess, kind of the sourness of the cabbage. But this is a very versatile dish, and I will talk more as we do it. I just don't want to just stand here and not cook. So I'm going to turn my burner on, and first I'm gonna be using some raw meats, and I have about a pound of beef and pork mixture, and you can get like a stewing. They come in like prepackaged, diced like this stewing meats. So I'm using about a pound, and then I'm also using some smoked sausage and some smoked bacon. Smoked but raw. So we're gonna, Lucy. So we're gonna start by cooking our meat. So I'm just gonna throw a little bit of salt on this because we need salt for flavor. About a teaspoon. And as much pepper as you like. I'm gonna do just a sprinkle. And probably about half a teaspoon. And this is how you're gonna learn to cook at home. This is how Grandma cooked, and we know that that's how she told us how to cook. How much, Grandma? Oh, you know, enough. There's a couple of little bigger pieces that I've noticed here, so I'm just gonna make them a little bit smaller, bite size. And these can go a little bit of. I'm using grapeseed oil, and these are just gonna go in there, and they're gonna start browning. They don't need to cook completely. We're just trying to get a little sear on them so they look nice in our stew. So this dish is often translated to hunter stew, BIGOS po myśliwsku, I would call it then. And this is because you can use all kinds of meats. And I guess hunters used it after, or made this after going hunting and bringing all kinds of different meats. And you can put bird in it, you can put wild game, deer, whatever you want. I'm putting pork and beef just because it's what is most common, I guess, most accessible. And you can also make a vegetarian version of this. I guess it wouldn't be called hunters then.
It could be called gatherers stew.
Gatherers stew, there you go.
No biggies.
Just skip the smoked meats and the raw meats and stick with mushrooms. And I like it that way also. It'll be cabbage with mushrooms then, kapusta z grzybami. And that's also delicious. As far as quantities of the meat or ratio meat to cabbage, this is very personal too. I'm making this one quite meaty, and I guess you will find out how you like it once you make it and you see. This is a little bit too much meat for me. This is, I like mine a little bit more mushroomy or whatever, so just just try making this and then adjust as as you please. I'm gonna just rinse my hand real quick and we'll continue.
I'd like to see this made with just wild game. I'd like to try that.
Yeah.
You know, with elk and boar and
sure.
squirrel. If somebody out there makes it with just wild game, let us know in the comments how it went.
Yeah, right. Okay, so while this is slowly browning, I'm gonna dice my onions. I have two, well, medium onions you can call them.
What happened?
Onions. Onions happen.
You should start wearing swim goggles.
Do you prefer yours oniony? Meaty or?
I prefer mine meaty and oniony.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the smollets you made the other week. I prefer a meatier smollets. I prefer a meatier BIGOS. You know, I like meat.
Right.
Meat.
And this dish also does really well in the crock pot.
He's so cute.
So if you want to, how do they say make and forget or something like that? What was it?
Yeah, make it and forget it.
No.
No.
Something like that.
Fire and forget. No, that's a missile.
Anyway. So you would sear your meat, put it in your crock pot, then saute the onions and mushrooms, put it in your crock pot, and then add cabbage and add all your other ingredients, then set it to low and go away.
Look at you close up on them eyeballs.
I've done that, and it's also a nice dish to do like this in a crock pot when you're hunting. I remember making this dish once when you went hunting, because you can make it even after it's made, put it in a crock pot and cry about it a little bit. Wow, this onion is really strong.
Yeah, your eyes are red.
Might have to take a break. Crisis averted. We had to stop for a second because I was crying too much. But in the meantime, our meat browned really nicely, and I'm just gonna put it back in this bowl here. And I don't care that I had raw meat in here because it's all gonna go back and cook again. So we're just not gonna dirty a bunch of dishes. So now into our pot. Oh, and as I was saying before I started crying like a baby.
Reminds me of our wedding day.
This is a great kind of a potluck dish because it does really well in a crock pot. And as I was saying, I made this when hunting before because you can just set it and keep nice and warm, and then when everybody comes home hungry, you can just put it in.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it that it is. So I'm gonna also cook the bacon. I diced it into quite a big dice like this. But the sausage I'm not gonna brown because it's pretty lean, so I don't want to cook away the whatever. It'll all melt into our cabbage. So this will melt a little bit. The fat from the bacon will melt a little bit and brown, and then that will go with our meat, and then we'll cook the onions. And as we're cooking the cabbage, all the bits and bobs from the bottom will come up too. So this bacon is giving me nice fat, so I've decided to add onions now. Onions, and I have a couple cloves of garlic. And the onion will soak up the fat from the bacon a little bit. And I like that. So in the onion goes. And we'll give the onion a couple of minutes and we'll add mushrooms. So today I'm using baby portobellos. Because I actually think they're a little bit more flavorful than the white button mushrooms. I think because they're sprayed with brown.
Well, of course. Can you use other mushrooms like shiitake or wild?
Yes, so besides these, I'm also using some wild mushrooms. And I have about a cup of shiitakes because that's what I normally used when we lived in America. So I thought I'd go back to that because sometimes Polish wild mushrooms are kind of hard to find. But if you are on the market for wild mushrooms, I'm posting a link below this video. And you can go to that link and find a really nice mixture of mushrooms. And my friends at Bachik also carry wild mushrooms, and you can look through their inventory at polishfooddirect.com. So I recommend that. Since our onions are going, we have a little bit of time. These mushrooms are normally sliced or dried sliced like this, and I'm not gonna put big slices like this in my stew, so I'm just gonna slice these a little bit. And the water so these are dried. I'm using about a cup of dried mushrooms, and I added about a cup and a half, 2 cups of water to them to reconstitute them. And we're going to use that water in our cabbage or in our cabbage dish also because it's full of flavor.
Do you heat up the water or just cold water?
Normally if I'm soaking like overnight, if I know I'm going to be needing wild mushrooms, the next day I'll soak them overnight. But if I'm just doing it quick soak, I'll put hot water, boiling water over it, and they reconstitute a little bit faster.
The mushroom hot tub.
Yep. So our onions are kind of nice and brown now. And bacon is not completely rendered, but that's okay. I'm gonna add our mushrooms now. And they will pick up some of the flavor from the bacon and from the onions. They'll give us a little bit of moisture. Now I'm thinking this pot may be too small. And this is always a problem with making BIGOS, right?
It is.
I might have to pull out my BIGOS pot after we're done sautéing here.
Well, I've noticed over the years living in Poland and visiting here that BIGOS needs multiple pots.
Yes.
It starts off in the ginormical, and as it's being eaten over the days, it goes to a smaller and smaller pot until you're down to like a bowl of BIGOS left.
Yeah. But this dish does well also being canned, and if you find yourself making a huge amount like normally I do, and then you can't have a party for everybody to eat it. You can jar it. You can put it in sanitized jars, put the lid on it, and boil it like you would normally do your canning. So I recommend it, and then you don't have to refrigerate it. It'll just sit preserved in your cupboard, in your pantry.
So it freezes well too.
Freezes well also, yep. Put it in a zip top bag or something like that, and I think, yeah, it does, right? I think we are where we want to be. These mushrooms have picked up some of the bits and bobs off the bottom, which is perfect. So I'm gonna just add everything else and see how big this is gonna get. So I'm gonna add the mushrooms, and I'm gonna add sausage, and I'm gonna add our meat from earlier. And this is stir. This is definitely a meaty version. And oh, one strained one. One straggler.
How dare it?
How dare it. And I guess now we can add our cabbage. So in the recipe, when you go to check it out, I also have listed fresh cabbage, but I'm not using any today because, as I said, sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Today I didn't feel like it, so be your own judge in the kitchen. Now I'm gonna add the water.
That's about, you said about a cup or so?
Well, almost 2 cups.
Almost 2 cups.
And when you're soaking mushrooms, pay attention to the bottom of the pan. There sometimes is a little bit of sand, you can see it in here from the mushrooms. So when you're pouring it into your pot, just kind of maybe don't go all the way to the bottom. So this is already looking nice, huh? And to our dish, we would not be Polish if we didn't add some bay leaves. And our trio, right? So we have bay leaves, and then I have a good pinch of whole black peppercorns, and those bigger ones are allspice seeds. And I have about 6 of those, so they all have to join the party. And if you don't have allspice, you can get them at most just regular grocery stores in your spice aisle. So we have that, and then these are prunes. This is also a traditional ingredient for this stew, and I like adding them because they kind of add another layer. They are sweet, and you can. I'm not sure if you can get smoked prunes.
I
in the
don't
States?
think I remember seeing smoked prunes, but I am not a prune aficionado.
Right. These are just regular dried prunes, and I cut up about 5. And they'll kind of reconstitute in our broth also, and be nice and sweet, and they just add this extra flavor. And last but not least, I'm going to be using store-bought sauerkraut today, and this one is made by Bacik, and this Bacik is available in a lot of stores on the East Coast in Chicago, where a lot of Polish communities are. This is my preferred brand as far as pickled foods go. I like Bacik. I used it when we lived in the States. They come as close to the real thing as it gets. They pickle their cabbage in the old traditional Polish way, and it's delicious. And since we ran out of our homemade cabbage that we made recently, you can check that recipe out too. Oh my goodness.
I gotta get some.
Cameraman gets his, oh my goodness. We recently made homemade sauerkraut, and we made 20 kilos, and we're out. So I'm using this one today.
It's really good.
It's nice and crunchy. They also sell online, as I mentioned before, at polishfooddirect.com. It's delicious. Try it. You will not be disappointed. And now, existential question: rinse or not to rinse? I never rinse the cabbage. I don't like this juice that comes out of the jar. It's gold. It's full of flavor, and it's natural probiotic. It's delicious. I would never just discard it.
Well, I would say it depends on the kapusta or the cabbage or the sauerkraut that you're getting. If you get a German style sauerkraut that's available in your grocery store, that has much more of a vinegar base to it and is much more potent.
Yeah.
So there may be cause to give a like.
There may be. So you taste your cabbage and then you decide. And how to tell whether you're using fermented cabbage or not. You can just read the ingredients and it'll say on there whether it's just water and salt and cabbage, or sometimes there's no water, just cabbage and salt. That's what you want. If there's vinegar to it, added to the ingredients, then you're distracting me.
Sorry.
Then you know that it's been soured with vinegar, which I don't want my cabbage soured with vinegar. I want mine fermented with salt. So read the label and then you'll know.
See?
No widzisz? And then some people also take the cabbage onto their board and give it a slice. I say too much work. So I'm using 2 jars today, and so this is about, it says right on there, 90 grams per jar, 31 ounces per jar. So 62 ounces. And it is smelling like a Polish home in here. And this is where large pots are superior. We need a bigger pot. Here we are. I had to pull the big guns out.
It's full.
It's full, yeah. So we do need a little bit of moisture in it, and the cabbage will provide a little bit, but not enough as far as I'm concerned. So we're gonna add a little bit of stock. You can do vegetable stock, you can do beef or chicken even. And I have 2 cups in here. I'm just gonna add it all because this will sit on my stove for quite a bit, and the moisture will kind of leave as it cooks too. So I'm putting 2 cups, and then I'm also gonna put a bunch of tomato paste.
How much is a bunch, you reckon?
A bunch, so I would do like a regular can. I can't remember how much in America cans are, but probably a good 5-6 tablespoons.
And what is your opinion on ketchup and BIGOS?
Ketchup is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used ketchup before. It's same product, just a little bit more diluted. So maybe add a little bit more ketchup than you would. Some people add canned tomatoes too. And give this a nice stir as much as you can. And this is how kind of watery it is, and you'll probably add a little bit more of this tomato paste. And as this dish cooks, it'll become darker and darker in color, and the flavors will marry, and it'll be delicious. So now this will sit on my stove. If you wanted to make and serve, I would probably cook it for at least a couple of hours. Just once you combine do I have all the ingredients? I do. Yeah, once you combine all of the ingredients, make sure there's enough liquid in it, put a lid on it, and just continue cooking. It'll bubble, it'll smell nice, and if you have time and you want to do it the right way, do it the day before or even a couple days before. And so the next day I would pull it out, refrigerate it after obviously cooking on day 1. Day 2, take it out, cook it again for a couple of hours. If there's no moisture in it, just add a little bit of just water to it and give it a stir and let it bubble for another couple hours. But at this time, your BIGOS is pretty done.
Well, if you need moisture, and you're back home at work, you can add a can of PBR. No one will care.
But I'll cook this for a little while, and once it cooks a little bit more, I will show you how to serve it. Welcome back, friends. We've been cooking our BIGOS for about 4 hours. We let it go for 2 yesterday and then cooled it overnight in the fridge or outside. Right now it's cool enough. And then today we cooked it again. And this is what it looks like. It made this whole pot. And this is about, I think I have a measurement here, 3 liters. 3 plus a little bit here. I started dishing out for tasting. I'm dishing our BIGOS.
Smells like Easter.
For, yeah, and Christmas. And the more you cook it, the more it's going to change the color into this kind of deep red or brown, I guess you can say. Caramely. It's delicious. And sour. I'm going to taste it. It's nice and sour, and the cabbage it has got a little bit of that crunch left, and I can taste the mushrooms, the earthiness of the mushrooms in it, and definitely some of the smoked flavor that comes from the sausage and bacon. It's delicious. I know you're dying to taste them.
I'm drooling.
You can go to Polish Kitchen for the recipe, and also you can go to bacik.com to check out the cabbage and check out other products from them. And come again on Friday to see us when we leave our kitchen and we go cook. We don't go cook. We go outside and we eat out somewhat. And take you to see Poland. And we'll see you again next time. Smacznego!